From king of the Hollywood to blacklisted forever, some celebrities fell from grace in ways so shocking that nobody can believe it, even now. Some were ruined by scandals, while others by crimes. Here, we are going to talk about 25 of the most hated Golden Age figures whose actions or controversies led to their permanent exile from Tinseltown. Before we continue, if you remember the name of any such star, mention their name below. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was once the laughingstock of silent comedy, adored for his slapstick routines and chubby charm. But in 1921, his world collapsed when a party at which actress Virginia Rapp fell gravely ill ended in her death. Although Arbuckle was eventually acquitted, the scandal was explosive. Public opinion turned sour overnight. The media painted him as a depraved villain, and major studios quickly distanced themselves from him. Rumors swirled relentlessly. Some even claimed he deliberately harmed Rapp. His name became synonymous with disgrace. Once a top star, Arbuckle was blacklisted by Hollywood's elite, and his films were suppressed for years. Even today, his name is a cautionary tale of how one scandal can end a career forever. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn epitomized the swashbuckling hero on screen with his dazzling smile and adventurous spirit. Yet off-camera, scandal haunted him. In the early 1940s, Flynn faced charges of statutory rape after allegations surfaced that he had engaged in sexual liaisons with underage girls. Although he was ultimately acquitted, the stain on his reputation was indelible. Suddenly, the man who once charmed audiences with daring feats became a pariah. His personal life, rife with heavy drinking and wild parties, only deepened public disdain. Studio executives, eager to avoid further controversy, banned him from prominent roles. Flynn's legacy became tarnished, and for generations, his name evoked not romance, but the bitter taste of scandal and betrayal that led to his blacklisting. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is celebrated as one of cinema's most creative geniuses, thanks to his iconic tramp character. But behind the laughter lay dark controversies. Chaplin's personal life was a whirlwind of scandal. He married women much younger than himself, and a paternity suit once erupted, accusing him of fathering a child with a minor. Moreover, his political views and alleged sympathies for leftist causes earned him the suspicion of the authorities. As Hollywood's political climate shifted during the Red Scare, Chaplin found himself ostracized. Though his films continued to draw audiences, studios and government censors treated him as a dangerous subversive. Ultimately, his controversies led to him being shunned, his reputation marred beyond repair, and his once revered image permanently blacklisted from mainstream Tinseltown. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery was a familiar face in classics like The Champ and Grand Hotel, known for his gruff charm and larger-than-life persona. Yet rumors followed him like shadows. Whispers claimed that Beery was involved in a violent incident leading to the death of comedian Ted Healy, though nothing was ever proven. Still, such dark stories marred his reputation. Co-workers and insiders spoke of his intimidating nature, suggesting that he used his influence to bully and silence critics. These allegations made him a figure of public contempt. Even as audiences enjoyed his on-screen performances, the industry began to view him with suspicion. Ultimately, Beery became a symbol of moral decay, a celebrity once adored, now hated and blacklisted due to rumors that proved too toxic for Hollywood's carefully maintained image. George Raft. George Raft was known for his cool, effortless style and his memorable roles as gangsters in films like Scarface. But behind his suave exterior, Raft's personal life was steeped in controversy. Having grown up in a rough neighborhood, he was rumored to have maintained genuine connections with organized crime figures. Allegations persisted that he used his on-screen persona as a cover for real-life dealings with mobsters. These whispers soon spread among studio executives who feared that Raft's illicit associations would tarnish their reputation. Despite his star power, the suspicion and disdain eventually led to him being shunned by many in the industry. His once glittering career became forever marred by allegations of criminality, and his name, once spoken with admiration, became synonymous with betrayal and corruption. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was the epitome of cool, captivating millions with his smooth voice and magnetic presence in films like From Here to Eternity. Yet Sinatra's off-screen life was fraught with scandal. He was repeatedly linked to the mafia, with rumors suggesting he had close ties to organized crime figures who influenced union politics and even Hollywood casting. The FBI maintained extensive files on him. Although Sinatra was never convicted of any crimes, his alleged involvement in shady deals and bribery stained his reputation. As political pressures mounted during the Red Scare and other turbulent times, the studio system began distancing itself from him. Once celebrated as a multi-talented icon, Sinatra's image was irreparably tarnished, making him a figure reviled by some and effectively blacklisted by segments of the industry that sought to scrub out any hint of mob influence. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum's rugged charm and mesmerizing performances in film noir classics made him a beloved star for decades. However, his rebellious nature and off-screen antics soon caught up with him. In 1948, Mitchum was arrested for marijuana possession, a shocking scandal at a time when any hint of drug use could ruin a career. His subsequent jail sentence and public outcry turned him into a pariah among conservative studio heads. The scandal spread like wildfire, and despite his undeniable talent, Mitchum's reputation suffered. Industry insiders began to shun him, and his once flourishing career was marred by allegations of moral decay. The image of the tough guy with a bad reputation became inseparable from his name, and he was effectively blacklisted from receiving the full spectrum of roles he once enjoyed. Lionel Atwill. Lionel Atwill, known for his commanding presence in horror films such as Mystery of the Wax Museum, had a reputation that extended beyond his on-screen roles. In the early 1940s, Atwill found himself embroiled in a scandal when he was accused of perjury during an investigation into a notorious Hollywood party. The allegations were lurid, suggesting that he had been involved in debauched gatherings that broke every moral code of the day. The trial, sensationalized by the press, painted Atwill as a man of questionable character, and his image was tarnished in the eyes of both the public and studio executives. Although he continued to work for a few years afterward, the scandal effectively ended his reign as a respectable star. In an industry obsessed with moral purity, Atwill's association with scandal led to his being blacklisted, and his name became a byword for the dark underbelly of old Hollywood. Spade Cooley. Spade Cooley, dubbed the King of Western Swing, built his image as a charming entertainer on stage and in film. However, behind the scenes, Cooley's life descended into a nightmare of criminal behavior. In 1961, his world irrevocably changed when he was convicted of ending his wife after a brutal beating. The details of the crime were horrific and left little doubt about his culpability. For a man once celebrated for his musical talents and charismatic stage presence, the act of taking a life was unthinkable. Public outrage was swift and merciless. Cooley was blacklisted by the industry for life, his reputation forever scarred. His name became synonymous with betrayal and brutality, a stark reminder that even in Hollywood, the dark side of fame can lead to unspeakable actions and a permanent fall from grace. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford once reigned as one of Hollywood's most powerful leading ladies, starring in blockbusters like Mildred Pierce. Yet behind the glamorous exterior lay a tempest of personal scandals. Accusations of child abuse, alleged in her notorious memoir, Mommy Dearest, painted Crawford as a ruthless, controlling figure. Rumors of her mistreating her adopted children and being involved in toxic relationships spread like wildfire. The public, initially enamored by her on-screen determination, eventually grew to despise her off-screen persona. Studio executives, fearing backlash and negative press, began to sever ties with her. Over time, Crawford's name became a symbol of cruelty in Hollywood. Despite her earlier success, the scandals ultimately led to her being blacklisted, a fate that turned a once-adored icon into one of the most hated figures in the Golden Age. Clark Gable. Clark Gable was known as the King of Hollywood, a beloved leading man celebrated for his roles in films like Gone with the Wind. But behind his dashing smile lurked a darker reputation. Rumors began circulating that Gable was involved in a hit-and-run accident in 1945, a cover-up allegedly orchestrated by MGM to protect his image. Reports claimed that powerful studio executives bribed witnesses and even law enforcement to keep the scandal under wraps. As the story spread, public sentiment turned against him. Once admired for his charm and rugged appeal, Gable became synonymous with betrayal and moral laxity. The once revered actor was effectively ostracized from the inner circles of Hollywood, and his image was forever marred by the allegations, sealing his fate as one of the most despised and blacklisted stars of the era. Adolphe Menjou. Adolphe Menjou, with his suave demeanor and polished performances in films like The Front Page, was once considered a model gentleman of Hollywood. However, his actions during the House Un-American Activities Committee (HUAC) hearings drastically altered his legacy. Menjou cooperated eagerly, naming fellow artists and accusing them of communist sympathies, even when evidence was scant. Many viewed this betrayal as a corrupt abuse of power, effectively ruining careers and shattering lives. Once respected, Menjou's willingness to sacrifice his peers for personal gain turned public opinion against him. His actions not only led to his moral condemnation, but also cemented his status as a pariah in Hollywood, a man whose name became forever linked with betrayal and political corruption, leaving him blacklisted in the hearts of many. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand was a bright star of the silent film era, known for her comedic genius and infectious charm. However, her personal life became a magnet for scandal. Normand was deeply entangled in the infamous William Desmond Taylor case of 1922. Although she was never charged, persistent rumors accused her of having been involved with Taylor in a clandestine relationship, and some speculated that she knew more than she let on about his death. The scandal tainted her reputation, and once adored by audiences, Normand was swiftly shunned by studio heads eager to protect the pristine image of Hollywood. As gossip and suspicion mounted, her career was effectively over, and she was blacklisted, her promising star dimmed by an association with one of Hollywood's darkest mysteries. Mary Miles Minter. Mary Miles Minter was groomed as a teen sensation in the silent era, destined to become one of Hollywood's great beauties. However, her involvement in the William Desmond Taylor scandal would prove to be her undoing. Rumors swirled that Minter was romantically involved with Taylor, a claim that scandalized the public and outraged moral sensibilities of the time. With her mother fiercely controlling her career, allegations of a secret affair and subsequent cover-ups emerged. The resulting scandal not only ruined her public image, but also led to her being shunned by the industry. Minter, once celebrated as a budding star, was permanently blacklisted by Hollywood, her name forever tied to one of the most notorious and unsolved crimes of the Golden Age. Tom Neal. Tom Neal's career in film noir was marked by a raw, brooding energy that captivated audiences. But off-screen, his temper and violent behavior turned him into a figure of revulsion. In a notorious incident, Neal engaged in a vicious altercation with co-star Franchot Tone, an event that landed Tone in the hospital. The scandal didn't stop there. In 1965, Neal was convicted of manslaughter after fatally shooting his wife in what he claimed was an accident. The brutality of his actions, combined with his reputation for aggression, led to a swift and harsh reaction from the industry. Neal was permanently blacklisted, his name becoming synonymous with real-life violence, a stark reminder that sometimes the darkest characters on screen hide even darker secrets off it. Chico Marx. Chico Marx, one of the famed Marx brothers, was adored for his comedic timing and unforgettable accent on screen. However, behind the scenes, Chico's personal life was rife with controversy. Known for his compulsive gambling, he amassed significant debts that forced him into increasingly shady financial dealings. Rumors spread that Chico had borrowed money from unsavory characters and was involved with underground gambling rings. Such behavior clashed sharply with Hollywood's desire for pristine public images, and the studio system quickly turned its back on him. As word of his financial indiscretions and potential criminal associations spread, Chico's once-loved persona was tainted. Ultimately, his reputation became so damaged that he was effectively blacklisted from major film projects, leaving behind a legacy defined not only by laughter, but also by scandal and betrayal. Edward G. Robinson. Edward G. Robinson was revered for his unforgettable roles as ruthless gangsters in films like Little Caesar. Yet, his real-life persona became embroiled in controversy when he was accused of having ties to communists and, paradoxically, to the very mobsters he portrayed. Robinson's alleged involvement with political radicals during the Red Scare, combined with rumors of genuine associations with underworld figures, created an unpalatable image for Hollywood's management. Although he maintained a dignified public profile, whispers of corruption and betrayal persisted. Studio executives, wary of any association with politically sensitive or dangerous elements, eventually isolated Robinson. His once glorious career was marred by these suspicions, and his name became a byword for the sort of morally ambiguous behavior that led to permanent blacklisting. Robert Taylor. Robert Taylor was the quintessential leading man, charming audiences in films like Camille and Waterloo Bridge. Yet beneath his debonair exterior, Taylor made choices that would haunt him for life. During the HUAC investigations, he testified as a friendly witness, naming fellow actors and behind-the-scenes figures suspected of communist ties. His actions were widely viewed as a betrayal by colleagues, and many saw him as having sold out the industry for personal gain. The fallout was swift. Once beloved for his gentlemanly aura, Taylor's career was irreparably damaged by his political betrayal. In Hollywood, where loyalty and integrity were prized, his willingness to rat out his peers earned him lasting contempt and led to him being blacklisted by a public and industry that felt betrayed. Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper, the epitome of the American hero on screen in films like High Noon and Sergeant York, was admired for his integrity and stoic demeanor. However, behind the scenes, Cooper became entangled in political controversies during the turbulent HUAC era. Although not as vocal as some of his peers, Cooper's subtle cooperation with anti-communist investigations, reportedly commenting on scripts with subversive ideas, earned him a reputation among critics as a sellout. His cautious support for blacklisting those suspected of communist leanings ultimately alienated many in Hollywood. Over time, whispers of his political betrayal and the ethical compromises he made turned public opinion against him. The hero on screen became a figure of moral ambiguity off it, and his legacy was forever tarnished by his role in an era marked by fear and retribution, leaving him effectively blacklisted from the hearts of those who once adored him. Carl Alfalfa Switzer. Carl Alfalfa Switzer rose to fame as the precocious child star in the R-Gang comedies, endearing himself to millions with his mop-top hair and mischievous smile. But as he grew older, the pressures of fame took their toll. Switzer struggled to transition to adult roles, and his personal life spiraled into a series of petty crimes, bar fights, and financial troubles. His repeated run-ins with the law, involving theft and other misdemeanors, left him a pariah in an industry that prized clean images. The public turned against him, and the studios, unwilling to risk scandal, shunned him completely. Carl Switzer became a symbol of a child star gone tragically wrong. Once a bright beacon of innocence, now forever blacklisted and despised as a cautionary tale of Hollywood's cruel side. Larry Parks. Larry Parks, once a promising leading man, saw his career come crashing down amid accusations of communist sympathies. Though he had starred in popular films and was considered a rising star, his refusal to fully cooperate with HUAC's inquiries, combined with personal missteps, turned public sentiment against him. His personal life became a battleground for ideological warfare. The studio system, fearful of the political fallout, distanced itself from Parks, and he soon found himself blacklisted. Despite attempts at a comeback, the stain of those accusations and his perceived betrayal of Hollywood's conservative values made it nearly impossible for him to regain favor. Larry Parks's downfall serves as a stark reminder of how quickly the tides can turn, leaving a once bright star despised and ostracized by the very industry that once celebrated him. John Garfield. John Garfield was celebrated for his raw talent and brooding intensity in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice. However, his outspoken nature and alleged left-leaning political views during the Red Scare made him a target. Garfield's refusal to toe the party line in an era of intense ideological scrutiny led to relentless scrutiny by both the media and government agencies. Accusations of communist sympathies circulated widely, and his refusal to publicly denounce these allegations eventually sealed his fate. The once beloved actor was shunned by studios and largely forced into obscurity as a consequence of his political stances. His tragic, untimely death at a young age only added to the aura of bitterness that surrounded him, ensuring that his name would be forever linked with Hollywood's darkest moments of betrayal and blacklisting. Paul Henreid. Paul Henreid, best known for his role as Victor Laszlo in Casablanca, was a suave leading man whose off-screen choices would later cast a shadow over his career. Henreid's outspoken political opinions and involvement in left-leaning causes made him an easy target during the anti-communist witch hunts of the 1950s. Despite his undeniable talent and box office appeal, his refusal to disavow his beliefs led to fierce backlash from studio executives and conservative critics alike. As the HUAC hearings intensified, Henreid found himself gradually isolated and ultimately blacklisted. His legacy, once celebrated in one of cinema's most iconic films, became tainted by allegations of disloyalty to American ideals. A stark reminder of how even Hollywood's golden stars could fall victim to political persecution. Dana Andrews. Dana Andrews, the solid leading man of films like The Best Years of Our Lives and Laura, was admired for his everyman appeal and commanding performances. However, his career took a nosedive when he became embroiled in accusations of communist sympathies during the HUAC era. Though Andrews maintained a dignified public persona, insiders whispered that his associations with politically progressive circles made him suspect. As the political climate grew increasingly hostile, studios began distancing themselves from him. The once steady star found his name linked with subversive elements, and he was quietly blacklisted from major projects. His subsequent roles became fewer and far between, and despite his undeniable talent, Dana Andrews' career never fully recovered from the stigma of political betrayal. Lee J. Cobb. Lee J. Cobb, renowned for his powerful performances in films like On the Waterfront and 12 Angry Men, possessed an intensity that captivated audiences. Yet, behind that commanding presence lay a tumultuous personal history and political controversies. During the peak of the HUAC investigations, Cobb's outspoken views and alleged associations with left-wing circles made him a target for blacklisting. Though he continued to work in theater and on television for a time, the weight of political accusations eventually led to his permanent ostracism from major Hollywood productions. His once respected name became synonymous with betrayal and ideological defiance. Lee J. Cobb's tragic fall from grace serves as a stark illustration of an era when even the most talented actors could be demonized and permanently shunned for holding views deemed unacceptable by Hollywood's ruling powers. And there you have it, the dark saga of 25 Golden Age celebrities whose once adored faces turned into symbols of betrayal, scandal, and permanent exile. These stories remind us that in the ruthless world of Hollywood, even the brightest stars can be brought down by a single scandal, a political misstep, or personal betrayal. While we marvel at their old films and glamorous images, it's worth remembering the bitter price they sometimes paid. Their legacies now serve as cautionary tales, proof that fame is fleeting and that Hollywood's shadow can be as dark as it is dazzling.